to another edition of Heart to Heart. My name is Elmira. I am your host. On this show, we share stories of breakthrough. Our guest today, April Coffee, also known as April the Loveologist, will be speaking on the topic of rewrite your love story, escape repetitive dating disasters. We will talk about breakthroughs in love. It is Loving Month. She will give us insight on interracial dating, multicultural dating, all of this stuff. Because, like I said, her most recent book is called Rewrite Your Love Story. A lot of us have to do that. I personally had to do that. I had to unravel, unpack, untap, rewrite, rescript what I thought love was. And it was a breakup. Y'all have heard the story multiple times. It was my breakup that led to a breakthrough, multiple breakthroughs. And that's what we're going to talk about, because sometimes we get trapped in love, or we're like, that has to be what it is. No, you can live in the present and you can create something new for your future. It does not have to be what you had in the past. Hi there, April. I'm seeing the other side of your screen. I don't see your beautiful face. You'll just have to flip it. There we
All right.
go. Hi there.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Yes, it's a great morning. What's happening in your world today?
Well, you know what? I am thrilled that it is not raining, storming, or looking cloudy. It's nice and beautiful out there. And I've actually been out and partake of the nice warmth and the good sunshine. So I'm excited over here, and I'm excited about this interview. And thank you for inviting me.
So you've already been out and gotten some sunshine, some all of that goodness.
Yes, yes, and yes.
I have not. I did step out on the balcony a little bit, but I plan to take a walk and do some other things later outside. It's a pretty day here too, like not too hot at all. I was mentioning before you got on, your most recent book is called Rewrite Your Love Story. Why do you think so many of us need to rewrite our love story?
Mainly because a lot of us, and it doesn't matter what generation you're in, a lot of us really were not taught about how to date, about how to love people outside of your family unit. Some people had the privilege of having someone guide them through, but a lot haven't, and a lot of people don't know the dynamics of other people's lives or their families or whatever. And so we need to rewrite our love story, and we also need to learn about other people, other cultures, how they handle things, how they don't handle things, and that can help you actually to rewrite your love story. A lot of people are stuck in things because they don't know about dating. I came across this when I first started doing this. I even looked at my own life, and I was like, really, nobody really never taught me about how to, let me say, move and groove with somebody outside of my culture, or even really outside of my home when it came to dating and having a close relationship.
What what made us get to that place? Like, because you mentioned something very critical. You said many of us have not been taught how to love outside of our home or outside of our family, outside oh, outside of our culture, whatever. Um, do you think one of the reasons is because the assumption is we should only love our family? I don't know. I'm just questioning. Like, where does that come from?
No, it's like life dynamics or the economic dynamics or whatever. A lot of people are busy. And then, in my generation, a lot of people were busy. Parents were busy working, taking care of people. Divorce is a big thing. So a lot of children are left to do a lot of things alone. Plus, when you're focused on other things, and this is not something that's real high up in your priorities, then you may not think about it enough to share with your child how to do this or how to do that. And what happens with a lot of people is it explodes in their face when they realize their child is saying, I met somebody, I want to bring them home. Or you realize your child is dating. And see, in my generation, but I think they used to call us latchkey kids, because we had to come home from school and take care of ourselves until our parents came. And I remember being a lot of single parent homes too during that time. And so for me personally, my mom was busy trying to make sure that we had and we were safe and stuff like that. So this wasn't something that came to be a real important conversation until I started dating a guy seriously. And I've noticed now that a lot of people are very, very busy working, and there's all of this technology, electronics. They start with the younger kids now, putting electronics in their face because parents need to go do other things in the house, or they need to do this, or they're riding in the car or whatever. But we are simply a busy society. If it's not one thing happening in our society, it's something else, and it may be taking a precedence over what we share with our children, shall I say, as they are growing up. Now, I'm not saying this is everybody, because some people, they even have a plan and how they take their children through a quote unquote mentoring process before the child gets married, or the child really knows what's expected of them, or things that are going on in the family. A lot of family dynamics have to do with things that have happened in the family for years and generations and inheritance, etc. And all of these kind of things come into play to get us to that point.
So yeah, there's a lot of family dynamics. There's an origin story. There's all of this stuff. And like you said, technology is playing, like the digital technology is playing a huge role in dating and child rearing and all of that. And some people are even like swearing off dating. They're like, I don't want to get on them apps. I don't want to meet them people. They're even saying, I'm too busy to date. I'll watch like the Pop the Balloon shows and I pay attention to what's happening. Do you think it's true that some people are really too busy to date, or are they just making an excuse?
I'm leaning towards the excuse.
Oh,
Because what we do is we make time for what we want. Watch this example. You can come across somebody and then you talk to them about dating, and they're like, oh, I just don't have time for it, this and that and the other, and blah, 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 blah. But you let that person that really catches their attention, that's got all the things that they like, come across their path. How much time they got for dating then? Because, that's the thing about us as people, and we're dating and we want to connect with our forever partner. Pay attention. You are turning somebody's head. And whether that person has time or thinks they have time or don't think they have time, if you are turning their head and you are really what they like, they're going to rearrange something. They might miss a few meetings. They might reschedule. Look, you might eat something that they don't like. They might change that too. But when that person comes into your life, that is the person, you'll make all kinds of arrangements, changes.
Now, have you seen that with some of your clients? Some people you counseled and taught that yeah, what is they saying?
I I can remember a particular client, and she actually made the statement to me, "I don't date."
Oh.
I was like, "Huh?" But she dated a guy for several years. I'm like, so I'm saying to myself, so what is it that y'all do? What do you call that when y'all go out to eat, or when y'all go to the movie, or when somebody's having an event and they invite y'all as a couple? What? How you gonna tell me you don't date? So that's as we often say, we have to pay attention to people's actions and just kind of listen to their mouth. Because your actions really tell what you really like, what you're really interested in, and where your priorities are.
So it's the actions. Well, what about the people? Because I know you specifically focus on assisting with interracial, intercultural dating. What do you say to the people, men and women, who are like, I'm stuck on dating this kind of person. I only date white people. I only date black people. They got to speak Spanish, whatever. How do you get them to expand beyond the home? Because we started out the conversation with that, like loving outside of your home.
Well, people who think that they're stuck in a certain way, it is the fact that they have in their mind that they have a certain type. But after I've talked to them and I've really learned what they really like, then I can suggest and bring to their attention different cultures, what things that they do in that culture that is more to this person's liking, especially if they're open to dating outside their culture. A lot of times people tend to lock their minds into their type. But again, when they come across somebody who's not their type, and not that they're just totally not their type, but they're only a little bit of their type, but they have a lot of these other things that they have not recognized are their type, it just changes them. And you'll find a lot of, I know a lot of ladies, they're like, well, he really wasn't my type. And I'm like, yeah. Here's another thing. And I'm speaking mainly about ladies because that's who I work with. A lot of women don't really know their type. So I take them through an exercise and we go over several things, not only the things that they like to do, the type of person they like to have, the type of personality this person they want to have, but we also talk about things that are deal breakers.
Mm.
And a lot of women will lead with their most, I'm going to say, powerful or dominant deal breaker, and they will eliminate other things, and what they may consider a deal breaker really may not be. A lot of things that I've come across is in educating people and sharing with people and pointing out things about themselves that opens them up to a lot more things when they come to dating, when they come to choosing, when they come to vetting their person. So it's really not that hard to get them out of the I only do this and I only do that. A lot of it is conversation, enlightening, sharing, getting them to see things from a different point of view.
What has been one of those deal breakers that they shifted? Has somebody been able to go from I don't do men with kids to now I do men with kids, or I don't like this? Oh, I actually can date a plumber or something. What?
How about this? A lot of women are concerned about the guy's height. When you deal with older women, they're concerned about do they have hair or not. just, just things. But a lot of times, these taller women, will find that the guys that are their height or possibly even an inch shorter are very nice. They're very polite. They have a lot of the other characteristics. Okay, but see, you got some women there. They're particular about these things.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
Some women get upset about the guy being bald. But I'm like, okay, so he's bald. Let's look at this. Is he bald because of possibly cancer? Is he bald because he chose? Maybe he has to wear a helmet all the time. He may be an executive or whatever, but even the executive in the construction arena, when they go out on a site, they got to put that hat on. So maybe he's tired of that head rubbing his hair out, so he's bald. Just,
I think
a lot of
silly. Like, okay, I'm just speaking for myself. I think it's silly to eliminate a guy because he's bald. Like, some men look sexy bald, so I'm like, give him bald, make him bald for me. Like, okay.
Then sometimes I have to dig into why do you have that, and that's when I get into some real deep personal things, and we work through those as well.
That's because it's part of the rewriting the story, because you can tell me what you find, but is it clear that escaping some of these dating disasters mainly begins with us?
Yeah, that's one of the things that's in that book, Rewrite Your Love Story. I share a lot of things that women should adjust in their lives. Okay? I know one of the things in there I have is about mature ladies. And one of the things I tell them is that oftentimes they feel like they can just do whatever they want. They can just say whatever they want. They can date whoever they want. It just really, really doesn't matter. But that's the thing. When you're out there and you're just doing whatever you want, especially if you're sharing beds with people, shall I say, you don't know what you might come across, because there's still those different diseases out there and this, that, and the other. And if you just, okay, I'm doing whatever I want to do, I can go out with who I want to go out with, I can sleep with whoever I want to, how many different people I want to sleep with, and all of this and that, you're not even protecting yourself at all. And I know you're mature and you do whatever you want to do, but let's be practical, because the thing is, you are also sending a message to your grandchildren, if you're old enough to have grandchildren. You're also sending a message to other people in other organizations or groups that you're in as well. You're also sending out your reputation. So you can be mature, do whatever you want to do. That's fine. That's fine. Another thing that I have in there is I talk about ignoring your deal breakers. Because sometimes you have certain things set in place for safety. Another thing too, you mentioned the person who doesn't want to date anybody who has kids, wanting to date somebody who has kids. I'm gonna flip that for you. How about this? A mature woman, and when I'm saying mature, I'm talking like 30s, 40s, okay? You know your history. And you've got that you don't want to date guys who have young children. So tell me why you ignore that boundary that you have for yourself and go and date somebody who has children. And then when you get into the situation, which is why you didn't want to do this, when you get into that situation with that baby mama, the baby grandmama, okay, and all these other folks you got to deal with. And now you in this heartbreak situation. You got the heartbreak situation, you got the being disrespected going on. But what happened was you ignored your own boundary. Why? And a lot of women do that. But again, like you said, let's rewrite your story. And let's pay attention to our boundaries that we do have, that we know we have there for good, solid reasons.
How does a person determine their boundaries? Like, of course, you assist with this, but what are some maybe one single tip you can help with, like establishing your boundaries? Because maybe it could be something worked for you in your 20s, and now you have a different perspective in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s. How do you figure that out and say, this is it? This is the boundary I want to make?
Well, you look at your lifestyle. You look at your lifestyle and your schedules and things that you have to do, and you can set some boundaries around that. I'm just going to give this example because earlier you talked about online dating. In online dating, one of the things that you want to do, especially if you are working and you've got a lot of other things you deal with, you don't want to be on there every day, every night, all night long. So you need to have a boundary set. On Friday and Tuesday, I'll go online. But not only that, let's take the boundary a little further. I'm going to limit myself to being online 2, maybe 3 hours on Tuesdays or Fridays. You got work to do. You got stuff to do. You busy woman. You're a professional. You may have brought work home. You may be a school teacher. I know you brought work home. Okay? But set a boundary. Some of the boundaries that I have is I'm very particular about whether I am going to go out on a date with someone in my city. I live in a small city. And I know a lot of people here. And I'm a bit visible in certain arenas. So in my church life, I don't want to say it like that, but anyway, to be clear about it, in my church community, I'm very visible. And like I said before, the things that you do are sending a signal, are saying stuff to other people. So I'm single and I date, but to someone who maybe doesn't look at it the way I do, if they saw me out with a guy this week, 2 or 3 weeks later, they saw me out with another guy, maybe another week later, they saw me with another guy, they would think that I'm sleeping around.
Why would they assume that? Like, that's on them with that assumption.
But that seems to be an assumption of people in general, though. But one thing for sure, I do not want to have people in my church community assuming that. Because I remember in younger days that's if somebody even saw you walking with a guy, maybe y'all was just going to a business lunch and they were like,
it's like Elmira, she got a boo. Ooh, then they see you next week. Ooh, who's the new boo? Like, they're looking at you crazy.
Yep. So, that is kind of a boundary that I have for myself. And I do have for myself the boundary about the children. You can tell I'm a little bit mature. So I really don't want to be dating someone who has young children, especially children that are under the age of, 23, 25, whichever number that is that makes them an adult. And I'm going to tell you some of my reasoning. Some of my reasoning is, well, we already talked about the baby mama and grandmama situation. But also then, when you're looking towards marriage, then also you're talking about dealing with child support, child visitation, and all of these other things that have to be juggled. And I remember when I was much younger, oh, when I say much younger, when I was just getting into my 30s, I remember I met this young lady, and she and her husband had gotten divorced. They had, I think, 3 children. Oh my God. They had a calendar that they had to keep, and they had to work. She and her husband had to work their lives around the calendar that they had to keep to make sure that the children were getting back and forth from mom to dad. And here's the kicker. They didn't live in the same
Oh
city.
my gracious.
So we're talking on one level, well, for them, there was the drive. The drive was like back then to go from Nashville to Knoxville was 4 or 5 hours drive. So, you're trying to get the kids there after you get them out of school on Friday. And then you got to cut whatever you're doing on Sunday. And oh man, that's all I heard her talk about was this schedule that they had to keep. I was like, Lord.
That is a lot, but imagine trying to, like you said, that's why it's one of your boundaries. Because imagine dating someone with a child who's 11, who's even 15, 16, 17, and they have a schedule that needs to be coordinated to. Where does the dating fit in? Where do you fit in? You're like, I don't.
Yeah. And then on top of that, what if they're into sports that you're not into?
True.
So you got the child's school schedule, you got the child's extracurricular schedule. And I'm not saying that children are a problem, but what I'm saying is, at my age, girlfriend is, I've raised my daughter. She's very grown.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ready to be free with what I do and be able to make decisions at the drop of a hat. And like you said, certain boundaries go with certain levels of age. Okay, because see, somebody who has a child that is young, they may be okay. They may even welcome dating someone else who has a child. A lot of times those blended families work awesomely, especially when the children are around the same
Mm-hmm.
age and the children get along well. So that helps, with dating as well, because you don't have to, you may not always want to get a babysitter. Maybe all 6 of you or 4 of you or whatever can go to get pizza together or whatever. So, for somebody young, that may be fine. But for me, it's a little over the top.
You were like, we ain't going to no Chuck E. Cheese. What y'all doing today? Oh, I gotta go to the softball game. And I'm just speaking about stuff I know. Like that's what my brother does with his children, or my sister. She has teenagers now. I don't have children of my own, and that was a boundary I set to because I tried. I tried to date some men with children, and I was like, this ain't working. Guess what? One of them told. I gotta tell this story. So this one guy, I just met him on the dating app, and then I get into asking about his children. So he told me he's got 2 children. One was 10, one was 20. So my next question, of course, was, well, do they have the same mother? Oh, he reamed me. How dare you judge me and say I'd have been out in the streets? Wouldn't you think one's 10, one's 20, 10-year age? I had to know for me, and this is part of rewriting your love story. I had to know what was I about to enter into. I needed to know, but he already showed his character when he questioned me and said, "How dare you question me?" I was like, "I'm done. I can't. I'm done with you."
You know what? You mentioned the rewrite your love story. Another thing that is in that book is this. When it comes to friends, especially your close friends and friends that really care about you, a lot of times they may say something about the person that you're dating or beginning to date, or they may not. Friends communicate differently. Some communicate in silence and some are very vocal, like you said this guy was, right?
Yes, yeah.
We have to pay attention to what our friends are saying to us. And we cannot ignore what the friend is saying to us about this person, because you have to remember, they've watched you date different people and they know how you are. And a lot of times, one of the things we'll do is we will ignore what our friends say. And then we're mad because we end up in the crazy situation. So let me give you an example. I had a very, very close family member of mine to come to me when I was in high school. I think I was a junior, and said, "What do you think about," whatever his name was, Joe, and me getting married? And I was like, he's not your speed. And I walked away, because we're talking about somebody who was grown and older than me, right? And I was doing my best to get away. And they came, found me, and like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, he's not like this guy right here who did this and that and the other for you, and he did this, and he took care of, he did things for your kids, and you didn't have to ask him. He's not your speed." And I could have said a lot more, but I remember this. I didn't get deep. Well, a little while later, I learned that we were going to their wedding.
What
A good month
happened?
into the wedding. A good month into the wedding. I mean, not into the wedding, into the marriage. They were headed down, getting annulled.
How?
Getting annulled blame, because she discovered he was actually married to somebody else. I didn't know that, but I knew the guy was not her speed. So what I'm saying is, you want to pay attention to what friends and family and not ignore. Well, hold on, I'm sorry. I couldn't put my phone on silent because you wouldn't be able to hear me, and now I can't get this to stop. I'm sorry. Can you?
I can still hear you. Yeah. Oh, she'll be back. But it is true. We do have to pay attention to what our friends and family members are saying about the person we date or the person we decide to marry. And for me, what I believe about that too is it's at an extent. Because if your friend or family member is overbearing or controlling and saying they're always in your relationship, you got to take their opinion with a grain of salt as well. Because they could also be trying to break up you and your loved one, you and your guy, you and your gal. And to me, that's not good either. Because I've never had that particular situation. I've never experienced that. Are you still there, April? I don't know. Think she I think she'll be back. But I know I've assisted clients with getting over the heartbreak, because a lot of times it's because the family or the friend group was so intertwined in that relationship. You have to break that off, so you become a big part of this person's life, and it's tough to let that go when you've seen them all the time. I know with my ex, that was hard for me, because I was a major part in his family, like seeing his mom and his stepdad and all of them, and then vice versa too. He met my mom, my siblings, my everybody. So it's like, okay, not only are we breaking up us, me and him, we got to break up the family too, like everything. But they still talk. They still talk to my ex, so that's no big deal. Actually, they hired him to play at the what was that? I think Juneteenth festival last year, because he's a musician. But let me see if we can get. I think she sent me another requests. Let's see if we can get her back. Uh, uh, we will get you back. Get you back, get you back, get you back. Are you there, April? Hmm. Hmm. It's still like just churning. I don't know. We'll um we'll attempt to get her back so we can continue our conversation. Oh, I have no request to join. Let me send her. Y'all, I had some pizza last night. I was supposed to be uh doing like a juice fast or something like that, but sometimes I'm just like, I want something different. I don't want to do that. Um, I'm shutting my phone off and back on. Okay. So she says she's shutting her phone off and back on. Okay. I was telling you, I had some pizza last night. It was good. It was delicious because here's the thing. I'm a person, I call myself a conscious eater. Um, and what that means is I eat healthy on the cleaner, healthier side 75, 80% of the time. But then I give myself leeway with things. I don't like to be so strict and so structured where I don't have room, I don't have space. And that goes back to what we were saying in this conversation too about boundaries. Boundaries are there as a guideline. You don't have to be so strict with them. The ball thing or the height thing, where somebody shows up who's 2 inches shorter than what you imagine your guy to be, you just discount them. I do the same thing with my food. Like, I'm like, I wanted pizza last night and I didn't want to cook. So I had myself some pizza and then I have leftovers for tonight. It's okay. It's okay to stretch your boundaries. It's okay to do something different than what you might have imagined. Because on the other side of that boundary could be love. Because you don't know. I can say for myself, I didn't know that I would meet someone who lived out of state. Because I was just dating people in Nashville when I was living in Tennessee. And then I ended up meeting someone from Atlanta. Who knew? Like, I didn't know. I was open. I was open to that because when you are open to love and you are open to rewriting your love story, you don't know what can happen. You don't know what's going to be the direction of your manifestation because God is sending you these things. And sometimes we get so structured, we get so strict, we get so stuck in a box, like April was telling us, escape repetitive dating disasters. If you notice, this is a repetitive action you keep taking and you can shift it, you can change it, you can do long distance. Like maybe your person lives in a different state. Maybe they live in a different county. Maybe they do a different profession than you thought. I told y'all I'll be watching Pop the Balloon. And it is Pop the Balloon Wednesday, and this is the Phoenix edition of Pop the Balloon. And on there, some people are like, "How you go on the show? You came on that show, traveled to Phoenix, Arizona from Baltimore, but then you say, I don't do long distance. How, Sway? You travel long distance to get up, right, chocolate paper? You travel long distance to get on the show, but now you telling people you don't do long distance. How? Make it make sense. We trying to rewrite our love story here. We cannot just keep doing the same pattern over and over and over. Something has to shift within you. Something has to change within you. It's not everybody else. It's not the dating pool. It's not the men. We can't blame the men. We can't blame online dating. We can't blame society. We can't blame our mama. I had to get over that too. Trying to blame my parents and everybody else. It wasn't their fault. It was not their fault. It was on me. Okay, you're back. Yay.
And I heard your point about not being stuck, and I heard your point about if the person is somebody who's actually a busybody in your in your life. Those were very, very good points. And what I was trying to get to was this: another mistake that a lot of women make is that they assume that the person who's saying what they're saying to them is jealous of them. I had that happen to me, and I was like, huh? I'm not jealous of you, but I see that the two of you are not on the same, you're not on the same page, and you all talking about you're fixing to get married. And this was a friend. This wasn't somebody that I was coaching. But that's another mistake that we make frequently, is that we assume that the person is jealous. But not only that, if the guy tells you, oh, she's jealous, yeah, that's a whole different story right there. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so okay. Because this is Loving Month and this is huge for you, and you really help people again with interracial dating. What tips can you share with someone who wants to pursue dating outside of their race, dating outside of their culture?
I'm going to share several tips. My first one is probably one of the most important ones, and that is this. If you want to date outside your culture, you need to make sure that's what you want to do. And you need to be all in. Okay? You need to be all in. Not just because of the different benefits. You need to be all in your heart and in your mind. Because, honey, at this day and age, you're going to come against some different things that you've not experienced before, probably some things that maybe you've only heard of before. So you want to know that for yourself that you are all in this arena. Because men are men, and they're going to choose what they like, and it may be someone, or they may have some characteristics, or there may be some cultural things with them that you never thought of. So you need to make sure that you, yourself, your own heart and your mind is all in. Another thing too is you want to make sure that you learn about other cultures, and that you're not, just like Elmira said earlier, stuck into one culture. Because like Elmira said earlier, your package could be different than what you thought. Another very vital thing for you if you want to date outside your culture. Now, this is going to really open some minds here. You need to make sure that you know about your own religious beliefs. See, a lot of us, we all know all about the things that go on, or the activities in our little religious circle. And I'm saying little because it is little compared to the world. But you need to learn about your own. And when I say learn about your own in your culture, that you may have in your religious culture that you may have never heard of. But there are things that are in your culture that the people who are there know about that you don't. And see, I know you're going to be busy trying to find out about his, but you need to know about your own, and you need to know about his. Because see, what'll happen is people in your culture will begin to say things to you, and you trying to figure out why they saying all this stupidness to me. But it's because they know things that you may not know about your own religious culture. I did a live probably about 2 years ago maybe, and what I talked about was why your mother, your grandmother, your great grandmother, or your ancestors rather don't want you to date outside your culture, and it's because they know about different historical things and why certain things do this or why certain things are not allowed and blah 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 blah. But if you don't know that, you think they're being mad or strict or whatever. So you don't want to just know about the person's culture or things that you have seen on the news or in movies. You need to dig. And also, if you're wanting to date outside your culture, and one of the things I get asked a whole lot is, well, Miss Loveologist, where do I meet these men that you talk about that want to date outside their culture? Well, one thing for sure is you need to be solid about the things that you really like to do. And you also want to be open to venturing out into doing other things. A lot of times, those of us who date outside our culture, we tend to be the Lone Ranger in our group. The rest of our friends, they want to stick within the culture, but you're the adventurous one. So you need to be prepared to do things alone, whether that is go out to eat alone, go play golf alone, or I'd go and sit and watch tennis games. I love tennis. I used to be on a tennis team when I was in high school. And and Elmira, you know, I've been in a car wreck and I walked with a cane. Well, hey, I was walking with my walker and I wanted to go to a tennis game. But I knew that's where the type of guys that I'm interested in would be. So me and my walker was out there going to the tennis game.
Right.
So you want to be ready for these types of things. And another thing too is when you meet someone, or let me put it like, let me get this in two parts. You need to be aware of the people around you and who is watching you. One of the things I teach the ladies a lot is you live in a glass house. So if you're wanting to date, then believe me, somebody is watching you. So you need to be aware of who's watching you, whether they're obviously watching you or subtly watching you. You need to be aware of what is going on around you. And when you find yourself in a relationship, you need to focus on building the strength of the relationship. Because like I said earlier, at this day and age, interracial relationships or interracial marriage and dating is not yet a common thing. So you're going to come against stuff. So the two of you have to build and fortify your relationship. Because the very first thing I said is you've got to know that you are all in. So when you build this relationship and making it solid, you want to make sure that you know each other and that you have each other's back. Because when when things are coming at you, especially from people that are close to you, you got to have each other's back. You got to be solid. And you got to be more solid than if you were in a same, I say culture, I don't like using the word race, in your same culture dating somebody. But that is one of the things that makes these interracial, intercultural relationships work and be strong, is because they've learned each other. They've built their relationship. They're solid about how to handle things. They may have even discussed, different things and how they would have handle them. But the way they work together and they work as a team, because in interracial and intercultural relationships, one of the things that you will find that may be different if you've not dated outside your culture is what I call the distribution of labor. In other words, you may be used to being in the type of relationship where the woman has to always submit to the man and everything. But in interracial, intercultural relationships, it's teamwork. It's a distribution of labor. It's if she's stronger in this, then he's going to let her lead in this particular area. If he's stronger in that, then he's going to lead in that particular area. And they make things work together. It's less friction, but they have come together. They've gotten to know each other. They've got to know each other's strengths, each other's weaknesses, how to help each other, how to work with each other, especially in stressful times, like I said, when things are coming at you, to maintain the integrity and the sanctity of their relationship.
Yeah, I got example of it because as you're speaking, I'm just thinking about my brother and his wife. They're in a interracial, and they've been together since I don't even know, since the beginning of time. They have 2 children, but they did have to stay strong against some outside forces. So over time, it proved to be good because my oldest nephew with, you know, he's what, 15 now? So that shows you how long they've been together. They've been together far longer than that, but it's what you said. Because sometimes on social media, we can see these couples and speaking of the intercultural couples, they're like dancing and doing stuff together and everybody, oh, they're so cute. I'm gonna go out there and give me a white man, or they're so cute. I'm gonna go out there and give me a black man, or whatever they're saying. And we see the cuteness of the relationship, but we don't see them like what they had to, that foundation, that strength. Some of them do discuss it, but yeah, it's got to be solid.
Also, if you're wanting to know some particular locations to connect with gentlemen that are open to interracial relationships, I have a resource, and it's 75 locations for you to connect with your forever partner. So I will put that in the comments.
Yes, yeah, put that in the comments of this so we know how to meet these people. We need to know where to go. We gotta go to the places where they at. Well, on this show, April, I ask everybody a final question, and so that question is, what is your greatest breakthrough on this topic of rewriting your love story? Like, what would you say is your greatest personal breakthrough when it comes to the topic?
You know, my personal breakthrough here is learning about myself, learning about things that I did not know about dating. I did not start to really learn things until I was about 58.
Really?
Is when I decided that I wanted to do this. This is when I began to learn things about myself that I did not know. And it was, or shall I say, I got clarity on things. I got clarity on things that I had seen as a young person and how they influenced me in my dating. So when I took on this idea of wanting to coach women in dating, and I went and started taking, I got a dating coach who actually taught us about dating, how to build our businesses, et cetera, et cetera. But going through that course with her, my eyes were open so much to a lot of things that I had done that I could have done a different way. So my biggest breakthrough in this arena, because I had experienced interracial dating in my late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So when I decided I wanted to do it another round, I got interested in coaching and I got interested in a lot of things. But as I went through these things and the lady was telling us about different things that women do, the coaching and all of that, I learned so much about myself that I am now a different person. And as you were saying, the book, Rewrite Your Love Story, there are so many pointers in there to tell you things that you're probably doing that you need to adjust or stop. A lot of that is from my experiences and things that I've learned and observed in other people. So just learning about me, making the adjustments in me. Stop pointing fingers and blaming other people for their part of the relationship. I'll say that again. Stop blaming other people for their part in the relationship and making corrections in myself. This is my biggest breakthrough because I am now a different person. And now when I walk into a room, yes, I turn heads because I'm a different person with a different posture, a different smile, a different attitude, more open instead of the what do they call us? The angry black woman. Some of them want to say we are.
Or they say you got RB, you got RBF.
Yes, that right there. So, and that used to be me for real, and I had a great excuse for it. I'm focused. I'm just focused. I'm like, yeah, okay. Now when somebody tells me that's their excuse, they're just focused, or I got something on my mind, I'm like, and we can tell. Can we get a different face going on here? Because the guys are running from you, girl. That's why you don't have nobody.
Yeah, let's put on a different face. We don't want that face.
But yeah, that is my biggest breakthrough is that I learned things about myself. I adjusted things with myself. And as I adjusted things with myself and I learned more about other cultures, I'm a whole different person and I handle things differently. And I'm loving it.
Yeah, and you've proven, because people will often say, oh, I'm too old to do this, or my time is gone. You can do this. You can make a shift at any time. If God still has breath in your body, you still have breath in your body, you can shift, you can change, you can grow, you can transform, especially in this arena. It's never, because love is universal. Who is saying it's too late for love? It's too late for dating, too late for a relationship. That's just, it's untrue.
So untrue because I was 59 years old and like I said, at that time I was walking with my cane. I'm coming out of physical therapy and I met this gentleman and next thing I know we were dating.
See? There you go.
So yeah, you're never too old. You have something that somebody actually really desires. I'm on a shift here to Christian and religious stuff, but we were made to be the men's helpmeet. So you were designed to be somebody's helpmeet.
Mm.
And the scriptures don't say how old you were to be a helpmeet. They just said that you were designed to be somebody's helpmeet. So there's some guy out there with his eyes peeled looking for you because you got what he's looking for, regardless of your age, size, or skin color.
I know that's right. Okay, well, y'all heard it right here on Heart to Heart. You are the apple of somebody's eye. I love, I love what you said. Because be aware of who's watching you. Because you may be like, oh, nobody's interested in me. They could be secretly, subtly watching you. But are you paying attention? So thank you again, April. April, the Loveologist. Y'all can find her. She will put the gift, and I think there's another free gift too, but the location where you can meet these men, she's got a total of 75 locations. And make sure you also stay attuned to other events she has coming up this loving month. And thank you again. This has been another edition of Heart to Heart. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.